vehicles. Let's get back to like the budgeting. When consumer budgets, you had mentioned um, emergency reserve. Is that what you're
Emergency
calling
savings, yeah.
emergency savings account? What's a good number for that? How does somebody know what that number is? Yeah. Um, I do, we try to do a budget every month. So
Yeah.
what like my survival number is, but
Yeah.
do you use that term survival number and how,
I've not heard that. That's pretty good.
yeah, yeah. What is that?
It's different across the board, truly. And it's funny because, I've had enough of these conversations to kind of pick up on, what everybody's number is after I've talked to them for a little while. But it really is different, and it should be different, right? No two people's incomes, no two people's expenses are the same.
Yeah,
And that's really what it is going to be based off of typically. So 3 to 6 months is kind of the rule of thumb. So look at what your monthly expenses is and be conservative with it. Don't say if I live off rice and beans, like what are you living like now
right.
so that your life doesn't change for the next 6 months if your income goes to zero. That's a really good starting point. And then you can kind of adjust it, and your plan might change, right? Your income will
Sure.
change, your expenses will change. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the good rule of thumb. I have, a husband and a wife client that they have 2 years worth of expenses sitting in a savings account. And that to me, it's actually, we're kind of in the world of efficiency, and it becomes inefficient when you have that much
Sure.
because that money is, it is earning interest off of savings, it being in a savings account. But it could have earned more if
Right.
it was invested in other typically riskier investments. So,
Yeah.
again, you kind of start with that plan, but you do have to, take into consideration that individual that you're talking to. So that is, why an advisor, why somebody like you and I exist is to help them through those different decisions.
So those clients are really risk tolerant, aren't they?
For sure. Yeah, and I have a few different accounts with them that I manage, and it's done well. Like we have a plan in place for them, and it's
Yeah.
really the plan till, the end of their life.
Sure. Yeah.
And the plan is going according to what we have set up for it, actually a little bit better even.
Yeah.
And it's still something that, you kind of, you have to work through it a little bit because you're going to read the news, even though I tell people not to most days.
No, I know.
And that will affect, what you think about. And yeah, I mean, again, there's emotion tied to everything that you and I do for sure.
It's funny as I get older, I look at my 401k balance more often than I probably
Yeah.
should. The ups and downs just freak
Yeah.
me out.
Yeah.
So
Our fund manager is Dimensional, who we really love them. They're evidence-based investing. That's their investment philosophy, right?
yeah,
Um, and they just recently came out with a documentary called Tune Out the Noise.
there you go.
And that's, because they have all this academic research that they can back up all their philosophy on,
Yeah,
they don't have to really consider what's going on today because they're looking at a much longer time horizon that shows the success of various approaches. So yeah,
sure,
it's good.
sure. So when I teach budgeting classes to some of my past clients and current clients, I always say, how much do you owe? How much do you own? How much is coming in? How much is going out? How much are you saving? And how much are you giving away? So
Hmm.
6 items, 6 points on this budget. It's a simple budget. I need to keep things simple. When you sit
Yeah.
down with most of your clients, do you find that maybe half of them are actually doing a physical budget every month or 10% of them? What are people doing out there?
Yeah, definitely less than I'd like.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's realistic. I mean, it's most people don't want to be the quarterback of their financial world, I've found, especially if it's a
yeah.
busy business owner, somebody in that position. But yeah, like there's an accountant that I work with pretty regularly, and something that he's said to me recently was, you can't manage what you don't measure.
Hmm.
Uh, so how can you know where you're at if you aren't writing it down, putting it on paper, actually paying attention to it?
Sure.
And even myself, like I don't specifically write it down to a T, but I know exactly when every single transaction that will have to money go out, money coming
Yeah.
in. I am very aware of it at least. So, I have goals for myself that I've set aside. But so everybody kind of has their own process or what they do to be successful.
Hmm.
But some people, don't.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it can hurt them at the end of the road. It really, there's incremental, very small, but easy changes that you can make to how you manage your wealth and finances
Sure.
that really do make a big difference in the long run.
I think people are scared to see the results.
Yeah, yeah.
So they
Yeah,
keep
I mean
saying,
it can be for sure. I mean that's and your life will change and all of a sudden, you're not in as good a position as you once were, even
yeah,
6 months or a year ago.
yeah,
And that's at all levels. Whether you have $1 million and now you have 900,000, you're still scared to rip off the Band-Aid and look at it.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
stuff can happen to any walk of life type of person. And it really does, if you measure it, if you actually take that Band-Aid off, you
yeah,
can then come up with a plan, right? So yeah, I mean, it's important to do,
yeah,
and I definitely, I mean, there's a few people that I help, once a month they come in or we have a Zoom call, and they aren't in a great position right now, but they're
sure,
focusing on it, because they didn't for a long time, and they're
yeah,
now
yeah,
using somebody like me to, get through that and position themselves better, and it
right.
makes a difference.
There you go.